All right, everybody. It's been a little while, about 2 weeks. So it's time to talk about the Seattle Mariners once again. And before we get into the way this team has played over the last couple of weeks, let's review our situation. So the Mariners have played 146 games. They have 16 left. 16 games starting with today in about 5 hours against the Kansas City Royals. 16 games left, and they are 4 games back of the wild card. So, steep hill to climb. You've got the Blue Jays, you've got the Red Sox. They're currently holding those wild card spots. The Yankees have completely fallen apart. They are now out of the wild card by half a game. Still 3.5 games ahead of us. And then you've got the Oakland Athletics, who have recovered a little bit after struggling for a bit and are now 1 game ahead of us. So there's a lot in front of us. We got a lot of ground to make up. It's a lot to ask. Toronto has caught fire lately. It seems very unlikely you're going to catch them. Even if you win all your games, you might not catch them because Toronto is playing that well. Boston, I don't know. They're playing a little better than I thought they were going to. They've kind of sort of caught fire here, but that's a team that you could definitely see dropping some games that they shouldn't. So you can definitely put the pieces of a run together in your head if you look at the teams we need to pass. Now, as for the Mariners, if you take a look at their remaining 16 games, you've got 3 against Kansas City, 4 against Oakland, 3 against LA, 3 against Oakland, 3 against LA. Kansas City is pretty bad, although they did have their way with us a couple of weeks ago. Oakland's good, but we've beaten them several times this year. I think we own that season series by a pretty decent margin right now. LA is average, and then Oakland and LA again. Oakland's good, LA's average. You can kind of sort of paint the path in your head, but it's a very narrow path that we have to follow right now. And in all likelihood, in a week or so, I'm going to be making another Mariners video talking about how it's just not going to happen. Okay, so how did we get here? 2 weeks ago, things actually looked pretty good. I was actually somewhat optimistic, even though that was after some of the blown opportunities that we had. We had the opportunity to beat Texas a couple times and got walked off. There were a couple other games against the Royals that we had no business losing, and we did. But I still was looking at the team, and I felt like there was an opportunity to make a run here over these next couple weeks. And we got off to a great start. We had 3 against Arizona, and I said we needed to sweep them, and we did. It wasn't pretty. It was kind of ugly, actually. We had to fight for that sweep, but we got the sweep against the Diamondbacks, maybe the worst team in the league this year. And then we go to Houston for 3 games. We drop the first 2, and that second game sucked. We should have won that game 100%. Blew it at the end. That one hurt, but you know what? I was okay with it. I was like, all right, let's take our lumps against Houston, a better team, and let's try to get one. And we did. We went on YouTube TV the next day after blowing that game and handled Houston. And I was like, we're on pace. We're on track right now. Now we just have to get through these next 6 games clean. We need like probably 4, maybe 5 wins in the next 6. And we're playing the Diamondbacks again, the worst team in the league maybe. And we're playing the Red Sox, who are kind of up and down. That is very doable. 4 wins, maybe 5, we can do it. No. You dropped 2 games to Arizona. 2 games that you lost pretty cleanly, by the way. Arizona just flat looked like the better team. And then you win the first game against Boston, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if we sweep Boston, then that'll make up for it, because you'll have made up ground on a team that's ahead of you in the wild card race, and you'll get back some of those losses that you posted against Arizona, which that's inexcusable to lose to Arizona with how bad they are right now, but you can make up for it. But last 2 games of the series get away from you, and boom, you're 4 games back with 16 games to play, and you've got like 3 teams ahead of you basically in effect. So here we are with maybe a 1% chance of making it statistically, and now looking at a situation where you really might need to win 13 of your last 16 games just to give yourself a chance. And you probably need to beat Oakland at least five or six times. I think you play them 7 total times. You play them 7 total times. You probably need to beat them like 6 times just to bury them. And then you need things to go the right way with the other teams. So that is probably the end of the party. But technically, the party is still... We haven't sent everybody home yet. So still something to watch for in these last couple weeks. And as for how we got there, this offense is just killing me. They get guys on base, they work pitch counts, they draw walks. You see the good stuff. Crawford's still playing fine at the plate. For somebody of his defensive abilities, I'm perfectly happy to live with an average bat, which is pretty much what he has. Seager's still grinding out an above average year. Tom Murphy's actually coming into form near the end of the season here. He's actually been playing really well with the bat lately. Ty France, solid. I know he slipped a little bit from his peak, but he's playing well. Haniger, it's become a little boom or bust with him right now, but he's playing well overall. Torrens is playing well. Toro came back to earth a little bit, but still playing very effectively at the plate. Yeah, there are some problems in the lineup, and I wish those problems didn't exist. Dylan Moore never really got it going this year. Fraley has fallen off a cliff since, being in and out of the lineup with injuries doesn't help. I get that. Jake Bowers, Kelnick has shown flashes, but overall he's still a problem at the plate. Now, he's a kid, he's learning. I'm not mad at him, but to a certain extent, it's unfortunate that we have to be playing him massive at-bats right now when we're trying to make a playoff push. He's just not the guy that you need when you're trying to make a playoff push, but I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at Cal Riley, even though he's not playing well at the plate either. It's a problem that this team has to put them out there in these situations and doesn't have anybody better to put out there on offense, really. I mean, maybe you could argue Tom Murphy, but it's not... Murphy's garbage defensively, so you're losing something there too. And obviously not getting Kyle Lewis back is a killer. If Kyle Lewis was back from his injury, he's out for the season now. But if Kyle Lewis was out there, you might not have Kelnick up at the major league level at all, really. You might have him still back at the minors raking. It's possible. So you see all this good stuff with the offense, but they can't get guys home. They're loading the bases and getting 1 run. They're getting guys on second and not bringing them home. They've gotten into extra innings a couple times in the last couple games, and they can't get the runner from second home. They're just not getting runners home for the most part right now. They had a couple good games, like the game they won against Houston. But even in some of these games that they win against Arizona, it's like we should be scoring 8+ runs in a lot of these games the way the offense is playing, the way we're making these pitchers work, and the runs just don't come. And it's really just kind of submarine this season. And again, you can point to these individual players. I'm doing it right now. These guys are playing well, but when the rubber meets the road, we have too many double plays. We have too many pop-ups that don't advance runners. We have too many ground balls that aren't advancing runners. Just a big part of the problem is that it seems like Kelnick is the guy in the spotlight a lot of the times when we have runners in scoring position, and he's just not ready to contribute at that level yet. But it's not just him. The whole team has just stopped hitting with runners in scoring position. I feel like the starting pitching on this team has actually been relatively solid even through this disappointing patch. Not that it's been perfect. I think Tyler Anderson finally had a imperfect start, but Flexen's still been pretty good. I know Kikuchi is getting beaten up a few times down the stretch here, but Kikuchi is what he is at this point, and I think I have to accept that. Some games he's just not there and he can't throw a strike. Marco settled down and actually ends up having a half-decent year this year. Logan Gilbert, he had some bad outings too. Of course, you would expect that from a player as young as Logan Gilbert, but I think overall he's been fine as for a kid his age. I don't think the starting rotation on this team is really the problem right now, but This bullpen, man, it was the strength of the team at one point there, but early in the season and in the middle of the season, it was like, okay, which bullpen arm is going to step up and have a big shutdown inning to save this game? And yeah, sometimes they messed up. Every bullpen messes up sometimes, but we were doing well. We were doing some really, really solid things on the bullpen. We were getting out of jams. We were working ourselves out of bad situations. And for the most part, even after the Graveman trade and the short lull that followed that, they were doing well. But lately, that bullpen's just not holding leads, letting games get away from us. Sewald's giving up a lot of home runs all of a sudden. He was pitching amazingly, and then all of a sudden, he can't keep the ball inside the park. Anthony Sandwich kind of reverted back to his old ways. Eric Swanson, I was really excited about what Swanson was doing for us, but he got blown up at least a couple times over the last couple weeks. Sadler's still been good. I mean, Sadler's still got his ERA below 1. Sadler's been awesome, but other than that, it's kind of been a who's who of who wants to blow it this time. And I don't think these are bad players, but they are picking an unfortunate time to have bad games. The game-tying home run we gave up to Bregman against Houston. I know that Sewald has pitched really well for us this season, and he hasn't given up that many home runs, but that was a really bad time to give up one of your home runs. And ever since that game, he's started to get rung up a couple times. So, yeah. And that's really been the disappointment for me. Like, the offense reverting back to the mean, I can't be that mad about it because they're playing over their heads anyway to get us into this position. But that bullpen, man, I was feeling those guys. And they, I think, have really let this team down. And I think that's the main reason why we find ourselves in this situation where we need a miracle to make the playoffs. That's really all that I can say about this team right now. It was a not very fun last week. The season really kind of got away from us. We needed to win probably 4 of our last 6. We won 2. And I know that doesn't sound like a huge deal, but at this point, it really is. It's not just the fact that we're 4 games back. We are 4 games back with a lot of teams in front of us. So I'll make another Mariners video next week, and I'll say whether or not we still have a chance. But odds are good that at some point in the next 2 weeks, we're going to find out that the party is over. Finally, once and for all. But Mariners fans out there, don't get down. Don't get down on this team. Don't be upset. I know. I mean, I know it sucks. I know that we got our hopes up for a little bit there, and we lost 2 games against maybe the worst team in the league, and that really sunk things. If we had won those 2 games, everything would be different right now. But you know what? This team is headed for a probably 84, 85 win season. If you look at the way this team has played this year, they probably shouldn't get to more than 75 wins, maybe not even 70 wins. This is a team that played way over their head and fought and fought and fought and scrapped and clawed and is somehow going to end up with a winning record almost certainly. So we're headed in the right direction. We're headed the right way. We're doing things the right way. We were a little ahead of schedule, and it's going to come up a little bit short in all likelihood. But don't let it get you down. Don't be too upset about it. Yes, I wanted to make the playoffs for the first time in 20 years, but you know what? This team was not supposed to make the playoffs. Any team that is giving massive late season at-bats to guys like Jared Kelnick and Cal Riley, they shouldn't be in the playoffs. And we don't deserve to make the playoffs, to be perfectly honest, but it was fun to dream while the opportunity was in front of us. All right, I'll talk to you guys later today. Peace out. Go Mariners. Hold on to hope, baby. Hold on to hope. It all starts with a big series against Kansas City. You probably have to sweep them, and you go from there.